New blood up-and-comers are infiltrating the upper echelon of the Pokemon world. Powerhouses are getting easily outpowered by powerhouses, and some pretty crazy shocks and upsets could very well be on the way. Without a doubt, the Masters 8 tournament is shaking up everything we have ever known about the Pokemon anime, so let's talk about it. Hey everyone, it's Charles. How are you today? The Pokemon Journeys World Coronation Series Masters 8 tournament is finally in full swing after years of anticipation, and it is kicking out bangers in all sorts of ways. So today's plan is to discuss the new blood, the new power scale, and the new surprises that could very well be waiting in the wings. And as always, it is going to be a fun time, so kindly subscribe to join the family, press like to like it if you like it, and let's jump right in. Firstly, the actual composition of the Masters 8 roster is kind of mind-blowing if we consider the journey the Pokemon anime has taken us on in its entirety. Yes, seeds 1 through 5 are as vanilla ice, but 6, 7, and 8 are pretty far out there in the grand scope of things. In 6th place, we have Alan, an original anime character who initially appeared in his own No Ash in Sight 4-part miniseries, before walking into the main series to steamroll the Kalos League, even going on to beat Ash in the Lumiose Conference Finals to trigger a rift in space. Seeing an original anime character other than Ash, who isn't even a champion and just walked out of the Bush League himself, brought into the biggest marketing platform the show has had in years, in place of a recognizable Elite Four member, Galarian Hotshot, or champion level stand-in from the games, is something special, even if that opening draw didn't turn out so well. Video game players will see Iris as the natural choice as Unova's representative, but the character-rich Iris we know from the anime is an entirely different beast altogether from the likable, if fairly flimsy Iris of the games. While some of Iris's core story beats in the anime resemble those of the DS titles, we are introduced to anime Iris at a much earlier stage of her journey, and we saw her struggle from start to finish during the course of her travels with Ash in the black and white anime. And let's be honest, she wasn't exactly a top-caliber trainer, and she was kind of annoying. Back then, Cynthia was a mentor and an idol to Iris, seemingly light years beyond her in terms of skill. Haxorus was little more than a hair-loving Axew, and our aspiring Dragon Master was Ash's clear-cut inferior. But now, Iris is a champion one rank higher than Ash Ketchum in the Masters 8, with a powerhouse of a Haxorus at her side. Not to mention Championite and whoever else is chilling at the back of the club, ready to take on Cynthia in the biggest tournament the show has ever seen. Back in 2012, when Iris disappeared from the anime after getting slapped down by Claire, my wife, I don't think anyone would have predicted that Iris would be competing on the world stage among the greatest 8 trainers in the world 10 years later. And at last, we have Ash Ketchum. The first generation champion of Alola, who just barely squeezed into the Masters 8, is now gearing up for his opening round against Hoenn champion Steven Stone. And the fact that Ash Ketchum is even in this tournament must seem like a hallucination to anybody who dipped out of the show's early era and has only just came back in on account of the hype horn blasting at full volume. Because not only does the scenario seem like something pulled from a Wattpad fanfiction, but Ash's mere presence in the tournament breaks series conventions in exciting ways. Leon's decisive, crushing defeat of the rival Ash could never beat on June 17th, 2022 established a daunting new power scale for the Masters 8 tournament. But even this power scale is about to get rocked by what is to come. Prior to Pokemon Journeys, the old blood champion tier trainers have been untouchable, so far beyond Ash and friends that a match would be so short it wouldn't even be worth starting the clock. Likewise, Alan versus Malva aside, Elite Four members were also unstoppable juggernauts who could pack Ash into a fresh pair of nappies faster than you can say episode 99. But at last, after all these years, Ash Ketchum is finally capable of beating Elite Four members and has qualified for the Masters 8 tournament. And quite unlike back when Cynthia's Garchomp walked Paul and his whole team like puppies at the park in the Diamond and Pearl saga, Ash and the trainers at his periphery are strong as Bouffalants, posing a legitimate threat to the status quo for the very first time. It is true that Alan got absolutely cratered by the #1 hero, but unless both Iris and Ash fall to the golden oldies, then the anime's power scale is about to get shaken up even further. And with near certainty, in round 1, Ash will defeat an old blood champion for the first time in anime history. Unless you count Drake, but nobody counts Drake. Sorry, Drake. But to be fair to the Pomelo powerhouse, times have changed. In the past, juggernauts like Drake's Dragonite or Cynthia's Garchomp would walk out and practically sweep entire teams. But I really don't think we will see either Ash or Iris dominated by a 10-move Ace of Aces in the Masters 8. Nor do I think we will see another Plot Patrol blowout like number 6 versus number 1, even when number 7 takes on number 2. As although Iris's chances of beating Cynthia seem pretty slim, she is herself a young champion, and it's clear that the power gaps between the new blood up-and-comers and the old blood untouchables has closed significantly over the years, and based on the recent trailer, the little Axew we knew and loved in the Black and White era will be bringing quite the fight to both Cynthia's Milotic and her Mega Garchomp. As a newly minted Haxorus who nearly went 2 for 2 on Team Ketchum last year, which is all to say that unless Leon himself pulls off a rubber mask to reveal what actually caused the tournament's only non-champion but still very powerful trainer to fall apart like a floppy noodle, I expect that the champion and ace conflicts from here on out are going to be fairly tight, and that at least one, maybe two of the new bloods will upset the power balance. Which begs the question, could the power scale redraw go even further than we think? Let's not mince words, the only thing surprising about Alon's loss to Leon was just how badly he lost, as Leon's victory was already set in stone. But there is still plenty of room for surprises in the remaining 3 Masters 8 opening matches. And at this point, most people think that the bracket will play out like this, with Leon and Lance meeting in the tournament a round earlier than in the previous season, Cynthia and Ash squaring off in the other semifinals fixture, and Ash and Leon ultimately meeting for their preordained clash in the finals. Personally, I would like to see it play out like this, since we've already seen Leon dunk on Lance in episode 12, and because it would really give Diantha a chance to shine. However, that said, what if the tournament bracket actually ends up looking like this? Hold your pitchforks, Ketchum fans. This is just to provoke some interesting discussion. But thinking back to before the official bracket actually took shape, an opening battle against Dragon Master Lance seemed like the perfect brushstroke to Iris's narrative, as a battle wherein she could demonstrate her progress towards becoming a Dragon Master by either usurping Lance or at the very least putting up a truly commendable front against the OG Dragon Man. As it turns out, Iris will be battling Cynthia instead. But what if the Iris versus Lance matchup is still happening? Not in the quarterfinals, but in the finals. A funny juicy nugget that came out the other day is the title of Pokemon Journeys episode 117. VS Cynthia Road to Dragon Master Iris, or VS Cynthia Iris's Road to Dragon Master, or VS Cynthia Iris's Road to Becoming a Dragon Master, depending on how you want to translate it without the actual context of the episode. But either way, the title shifts the spotlight squarely onto Iris and her quest to be the very best in her field. And in reality, Cynthia is every bit the Dragon Master that Lance is in team composition if not in name, making the battle a worthy proving ground for Unova's Rising Dragon. But for the sake of discussion, what if Iris's road to Dragon Mastery actually takes her all the way to a clash with the legendary Dragon Master Lance, in which she has a shot at not only becoming the greatest known Dragon Master in the anime, but also a shot at the world title. Not to get ahead of ourselves, even defeating Cynthia in the opener would be the biggest upset the anime has ever seen at that point if it were to actually happen. But going on to defeat Ash and taking his spot in the finals would most certainly send the greatest shockwave in the show's history barreling through the fandom. It would be such an outlandish, ridiculous, unforeseeable dark horse move that I could totally get behind it. Not to mention that Lance serving up a cold dish to Leon as retribution for the last time they clashed probably would not be all that unpopular with fans. Of course, this whole scenario wouldn't really fit into Ash's narrative given all the build-up we've seen towards an epic final battle against Leon, but it would be a wild twist on expectations, to say the very least. Well, we spent most of today's chat breaking down the significance of the crazy events unfolding before us, and wrapped it all up with a quick exploration of a wild scenario that would trigger the internet like nothing before it. But how about you? What are your craziest Masters 8 ideas? How could the tournament shake our expectations and leave fans in shock? And what do you personally want to see from the Pokemon anime in the coming weeks? I'm curious what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to join the family, and as always, let's chat.